Oh, where you been? Good morning. Happy to still be playing. Guys did a really good job last week against a really good opponent. An opponent that I have a lot of respect for. All right, man, this quarterback is really freaking good, man. And now we have another one that we got to get ready to go play. Another big-time receivers that we got to go play. Another good offense. So we're looking forward to it. Let's roll.
Week 6 and maybe how they've been playing recently. They look like almost a completely different team. Just what have you seen differently from them on offense that's allowed them to kind of maybe flip a switch a little bit?
I see the same team. I just see the execution a lot better for the most part. It's a team that wants to run the ball, that will run the ball. Now, is the yard per carry there as they want it? No. But the thing is, they're committed to it. If you look through the last, I think, 8 games, and they've been running at least like 31 to 32 times a game on average. And I think that says a lot of their commitment. It's a lot about their head coach and their coordinator, what they're trying to do. So that's the one thing we really got to stop. We got to be good with. And obviously, we know we got to take care of the receivers.
You were missing a few pieces in that game. But
Say it again?
You were missing a few pieces, a few of your guys in that game. But one in particular I wanted to ask you about was Brian Branch.
Yeah.
He's just such a versatile chess piece. I know he's a rookie and you don't want to put him in the Hall of Fame yet, but what does he give your defense that's a little bit different than maybe you had in that first matchup?
You know what? Listen, we have a lot of respect for Will, but we know what Branch brings to the table. The thing is, he's tough. He's gritty. He's very knowledgeable. He does a good job at that nickel spot of understanding exactly how he has to disguise to put himself in position to go make plays. And we're looking forward to him being out there this game. And he's looking forward to being out this game because he hates missing games. And he wants to play against this team because of the nature of this game and who they have. So his ability to cover receivers is pretty damn good also. The thing is, listen, he ran this whatever time at the combine. When you watch him cover guys, you can never tell that because he's sticky.
Let's talk about, I don't know, the mindset, I guess, of, right, you guys like to stay aggressive.
Yeah.
But it's, you're not alone on that. Bulls does it too. But, you know, you risk giving up some big plays, I guess, just being able to live with that, right? The comfort of knowing that we may give up 1 or 2, but we're going to get ours.
That's all part of it. You know, if you do it, I mean, that can happen, and we know that. And it's more my personality to be able to do that. And our guys know it. The thing is, you guys just compete your ass off when you're in those one-on-one situations. And, you know, the football is a game of one-on-ones, right? But you do it within a team concept. And our guys understand that. So anytime they're in those situations where we're pressuring, you got yourself that one-on-one, you just got to win it, and they know it.
It also takes the strong-willed guys in the back end to know that, you know what, if something happens, I got to flush it.
In the back end, you got to be strong-willed no matter what because everybody sees you. And for the most part, you're going to be in those situations at some point. Listen, up front, when a running back goes through, you really don't talk about that too much. When you hit the linebackers, you don't talk about that too much. But everybody sees when a defensive back doesn't make the tackle or they get beat. So you do have to be strong-willed, and that's just part of it.
Speaking of the back end, that one pivotal play, the Rams' last drive, 3rd and 14, Cam goes on Puka, was close. Do you think that was, were you holding your breath there, and what do you tell him as far as how he played that? Did he do it any better? Is there anything different he could do to?
Did he catch it?
No.
We won.
Did you think it was a PI or was it borderline?
Did they throw a flag?
Yeah. No.
They threw a flag?
No, they didn't. But a lot of people.
It wasn't PI. Well, that's every play. Like guys say, and I'm just being funny, but like even up front, you know, they say it's holding on every play, but they're not calling it. In pass defense, there's always going to be jostling. Something's going to happen, all right? And then it's just a rough decision, you know, if you think it is or not. And listen, that's going to happen every play. Listen, Cam competed on that play, and there were other plays where you get pushed off by the receivers. They don't call that. But at the end of the day, the ref didn't call it. Those guys competed against each other, and Cam made the play at the end.
The sacks have started coming for Aiden. It's been 2 games back for Aleem. I'm just wondering how much that help from the middle has really kind of helped Aiden turn those pressures into sacks that we've been talking about all year.
Listen, he's been doing a good job all year. I think the numbers show that. And it was just a matter of time until those things turn around for him and they end up being sacks. We talk about that all the time. I think sometimes on the outside we get so caught up in that we're not looking at how hard the player is going out there executing and the things that he's doing for other guys around him. Man, it's just been fortunate for him, for those to turn into sacks right now, because that's what he wants. That's what we all want. But the pressures is what helps a lot, too. We've hit the quarterback quite a bit these last couple of weeks, and we want to continue to do that because that's an emphasis of ours every week.
McNeil kind of helps with that in his 2 games back.
Anytime you have both of those guys in the game, because both of those guys are pretty dominant players. And the thing is, Mac was actually on fire at one point before he had his injury. And now that he's back, now you got to get himself back going, and we're looking forward to him doing that.
We didn't ask about your schedule. You got a busy couple days coming up. How do you just balance everything, like everything you need
The
to
main
do?
thing is the main thing. Just like I said last week, man, we're trying to beat Tampa. All right, this is an opportunity for all of us as an organization, as a staff, as players, to get a chance to compete for the Super Bowl. So the thing we got to make sure we put everything we can into winning this game right here. And for me, that's the most important thing.
Game plan, though, is mostly in, like after today, right? So do you study the teams that you're in?
Hayes never in the barn. I learned that from Bill Parcells way back. He hated when people said that. All right, so the Hayes, you could always change something because you're always looking at tape. You're always trying to figure out how you put your guys in the best position. So we're always trying to figure things out as we go through the week. Now, listen, these things are going to come up. Listen, nothing's confirmed just yet. I will tell you that. All right, but when they do come up, listen, I do the interview and they have a decision to make after that, and I look forward to having them.
You have to spend time preparing for those interviews, and how do you fit that into your 24-hour?
I prepare by being myself. Listen, I've been playing this game for a long time. I've been coaching it for a while. So the questions that they ask, there's a good chance I got them already in my head. So, like I say, I look forward to them. Nothing's confirmed yet, but when they do happen, I'm sure you guys will know.
Can I go back to Cam for a second? You've really challenged him down the stretch here in terms of the guys he's had to cover, and he's had to cover some of the biggest names in this game. And when that happens, those guys make plays too. We've talked about that, but you know how it goes with criticism on social media, in particular at the cornerback spot. I think Cam's taken quite a bit from fans, and I'm just wondering, you play the position, you can relate to him a little bit more. How has he kind of handled this stretch where it's really tough to be perfect or even really tough to be good when you face that level of competition consistently?
Listen, he's handled those like a pro, all right? Because the one thing, and I didn't have to deal with the social media aspect in my day. I just aged myself. But listen, everybody has an opinion, all right? Everybody does. A lot of them don't know what the hell they're talking about for the most part, But at the end of the day, as a man that's playing on that field, you have to understand who you are and what you have to do. And you go out there and you bust your butt every day to do the job that you have to do, all right? Because when you play defense, people think this is happening when it's really not. People think you got help or you don't. No one really knows, right, unless they're in those meeting rooms with us. The thing that he's doing a good job of is he's staying within himself. He's built himself a cocoon, and he's understanding exactly what we're asking him to do. And listen, we're going to continue to challenge him to be the best Cam that he can be on a weekly basis. And listen, we're happy with him.
And the home crowd, Coach, you played the last time in Tampa. Home crowd now, especially that crowd that was the other night, defensively, how did it help and how will it help, especially in the snap counts and everything like that?
Man, I tell you what, coming from New Orleans, the crowd that we have there, and then the crowd that we have here, man, it was outstanding. And it's somewhat similar. I thought New Orleans was one of the loudest stadiums I've been a part of. But, man, it is a joy to be able to play at home in front of these guys. And they did a hell of a job, like assisting us. I don't know if you noticed, but the 2 timeouts, I think that had to do something with the crowd noise and him not being able to hear. And the quarterback, he knows, how Ford Field is. So I'm sure he was expecting that. But, man, it was outstanding. It was outstanding. And look forward to it this week.
How do you like the safety rotation now that you've seen it for a couple of games, been able to tweak it and get guys in certain packages and stuff?
Listen, it's good to get all those guys in. I mean, there are a couple of times we had all 3 of them in the game at one point, and we're going to continue to do that. But, man, we have 3 playmakers that's able to go out there and play. And those guys are understanding the rotation. They're doing a good job with it. And there's no complaining. They're all good teammates. That's just like at the linebacker position. We have some rotations going there also. So, man, we try to put the best players on the field as much as we can. And anytime we get a chance to put all those guys on the field, we build packages to be able to do that.
I want to ask about Kirby Joseph.
Yeah.
He is taking a lot of heat, not just from people who don't know anything, but from his contemporaries saying he's a dirty player. Do you have to pull him aside and talk to him at all? Because
Absolutely not.
Not to change his physical, violent ways of playing.
This is football. All right, this is football. And I understand exactly what the NFL is doing when it comes to trying for player safety. And, man, I totally agree with it. And the thing that he did against the Minnesota Vikings, he hit a guy high and he got fined for it. So now he hits a guy low, and people are saying he's a dirty player. Kirby plays football, all right? And we're going to continue to play football. And we don't care what anybody else has to say. You know, listen, no one wants anybody to get hurt in this league. No one wants that. Hell, I was hurt in this league before, all right? So I understand, I know how it feels. But I also understand I play football. And when you play football, things like that happen. So guys got to continue to play no matter what. And it kind of bothers me that you hear that from, like, people across this league, because you know the risk you taking when you play this game. And that's just what it is.
You guys were strong against the Rams on third down and in red zone. How much more impactful are those areas this time of year? Do you devote extra attention to them?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. That's something that we've talked about for the past couple of weeks. And if you look at our numbers, that's what we've improved for the most part. Because once you get in this situation and you're going in the playoffs and you're trying to get to the bowl, like, those two situations are vital, right, for a defensive team to be at their best. And we've been pretty good on third down. We've been pretty good in the red zone. Now, it wasn't our deal during the season, all right, and we understand that, but we emphasize that, and our guys are doing a good job right now.
Dave asked you about the risk of the blitz. I'm just
Say it
curious.
again.
Dave asked you about the risk of the blitz and
Yep.
living with it. The Rams picked it up better than I think anybody's picked it up against
Yeah.
you all year. And I just wonder, when you went back and looked at the film, was there something you saw that you didn't like about the way you were executing, or did you tip your cap to them because they did?
I was more impressed with the quarterback. And the thing is, listen, he's seen a lot within his career. So some of those blitzes, yeah, we knew he was going to pick up. All right. Well, I can't say I knew he was, but there's a chance that he would identify and be able to pick it up. Some of them we were actually, like, pretty good on. All right. That we got a chance to hit the quarterback on a number of occasions. So, I mean, kudos to him. All right, because he's seen it all. I mean, that's what happens when you play a quarterback of that nature, that sometimes you can try to fool him. All right. But you got to do a really good job with your disguises to make sure you can.
Thank you, guys.
Y'all good? All right.
Hard not to be great right now.
Last time you guys played Tampa, there's some pretty phenomenal punting in that game. Just what do you remember from that game? What are you expecting?
Yeah, both sides punted the ball or had some good punts in the game. Those guys obviously clearly did some 60-yard punts. Then we had some punts in the plus 50 area that were big. But punting will be a big part of this game too, just like it was in the last game.
Asked you.
Just to follow up on that, Fox probably hasn't got enough, love recognition for the season that he's had, but he has nailed some pretty darn big punts, including last week. Can you just speak on it?
Yeah, I think the last couple of weeks he's really played well for us, and the punt team has as a whole. I think there's a lot of things that contribute to it. Some of it's some of the fakes that we've run in the past have helped get guys down the field a little bit faster. Our opponent's got to make sure that we're punting the ball. And so that helps the coverage aspect of it also. But and he's done a nice job of pinning those guys in. Field position's been big. It's going to be big this week too. And Tampa Bay does a nice job. Their punter rips the ball down the field. They got a couple of fast gunners on the outside who get down there. We got to hold up. And then on the flip side of it, for our punt team, they got a good returner back there. Ends up getting yards back on us. A quick guy, so we got to make sure we do a good job of handling him.
I think I've asked you earlier in the season, like, when your special teams, you just didn't have the impact because you weren't punting or kicking field goals because of the particular game flow. When you come out of the game that you did on Sunday, where you guys had an enormous impact on the result with the 3 punts that pin them inside the 10 and the 54-yard field goal that ultimately proves to be the difference. I mean, how satisfying is that to know your guys executed in the biggest moments and in the biggest game of the season?
Yeah, I feel like the trick of the whole thing is you got to treat every play the exact same way, and you don't know what you're going to be asked to do in any given game, and you got to be ready for whatever it is, and that's kind of, I think we alluded to that last week when you say each guy's got to do his job to the best of his ability on every single play, because you really don't know. It's like the kickoff, Dorsey ends up making the tackle. We kind of mishit the ball, so it goes down there low. It gets in the returner's hands fast. Had those guys just been assuming that it was going to be another touchback or whatever, all of a sudden he lets his guard down, the ball gets back on us faster, but he didn't. He was playing full speed the whole play. And ultimately the play came down to him, and he was doing his job, and he was in a position to make it, and he cut through and made the play. So it's all these games now, it's going to come down to one play, and you don't know which play that's going to be. And it could have been that one, but since it was okay, no one talks about it. It could have been the field goal, but since it worked out, it's not a big deal. It happened with 9 minutes left in the third quarter, but with 9 minutes left in the third quarter, you didn't know that was going to be our last shot at points in the game. And it ended up being that way. So I think ultimately all 11 players on every play in these games, the closer the competition is, the better you got to be all the way across the board. And the play is going to come down to one guy here, one guy there. And the only way to be right at the end of it is if each guy's doing his job on every single one of them.
What is a week like this like for a coach?
Oh, it's great. I mean, I said it a week ago. To me, there's nothing like the playoffs. All we got to do this week is find a way to win one game, and it's going to be Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. It's going to be against Tampa, and we just got to find a way to beat them one time. We don't have to beat them again. We don't, and you don't have to worry about the last one. Nothing that happened in the last one matters, and there's nothing after it, obviously, if we don't get through this one. So you get to give all your attention and focus, and you get everybody's attention and focus for, the every practice, every meeting, every rep. And so to me, it's great. This is what you live for.
How about from like a workload standpoint? Like, do you get less sleep than you would in week 15? Or
Yeah, no. And I feel like if you were doing that, then you were treating the other games, not the same way, which is not the way we do it. You're giving every game everything you got. It's a little bit different because you know that if you don't win it, you're going home and it's over. But in terms of preparation and all that, it's really the same.
We've established through the duration of your employment, I have an unhealthy obsession with long field goals. 54-yard Badgley was the longest of your tenure here in the regular season or playoffs. And so we know he has that leg. We know he's kicked that distance before, 56 or 58 at some point in his career. But just what kind of confidence does that give him, to hit that in that moment? And what kind of confidence does it give you in him to go back to him in those situations?
Yeah, the first thing I would say about it is I've said over and over, there's more to it than just the distance. It's also the down and the distance. Obviously, it's fourth down, but is it 4th and 20 from the 36, or is it 4th and 2 from the 36? Those are obviously two different situations. What's the score on the board? Are you in the third quarter, the fourth quarter? Now it's where you got to take advantage and get points, and you can't just play the field position game. So I think there's a lot to it, and it's not just the kicker's ability or us having a desire to kick a long field goal or not having a desire to kick a long field goal. It's really what's in the best interest of the football team. And it's always been that way. I don't think that'll change. But making a big kick like that obviously helps your confidence, and you can see that in him. Now, that being said, I feel like he's been striking the ball well for a long period of time, and that's really why he's playing that position for us now, and we talked about that earlier.
You've been around a lot of coordinators. What makes Aaron and Ben so special?
Oh, man. They're all unique. They're both unique. They're a little bit different in their own ways, but I would say first and foremost, man, they're incredible people. They're great people. They're friends of mine, and I think I don't know. They're great people. They have a great approach to life. They're obviously super talented as coaches too. Now Ben is an incredible play caller. You know, he sees the game with great vision and perspective. And AG is a great motivator and leader, and enjoyable to be around. I think as a coach, like for me, you're trying to learn from everybody that you're around, and I've learned an awful lot from both those guys.
The crowd noise in Sunday's game, a lot was made of it. There was obviously the 2 timeouts that LA had to burn that may have been from the crowd noise. Is there any benefit to that from the special teams perspective, just that environment?
I mean, anytime there's energy in a stadium like that, I think it's beneficial for your whole football team. Obviously, special teams plays, there's a big component of them are energy, you know, how hard you're playing, how fast you're running, for the duration of the play. I think the energy in the crowd plays a part in that. I mean, it was an incredible atmosphere out there. We talked about it during the game. We were sitting in the huddle before covering the kickoff and just saying, man, this is as good as it gets, you know. So it was unbelievable. The fans were incredible. We definitely appreciate it. And it does make a huge difference to every player on the sideline and on the field. Appreciate it.
All right. Awesome win last week for our guys, man. That was obviously an incredible environment and fun to be a part of. Happy for them. And now it's another big challenge. It's a really good defense we're about to face. So we're looking forward to it, though.
Looking at the snap counts of after this game, both teams ran 50-some change. Was there something behind that, just like a slowing down of the pace to calm yourself, I guess, in the postseason?
No, I don't know that to be true. I mean, the one thing we've been really all year long is a fairly explosive offense, and maybe we weren't getting as many explosives early in that game that we normally do, but it felt like both offenses were putting drives together, and so the nature of the game, we just didn't have many possessions as a whole. Normally we have 10 to 12, and I think overall we only had 8, and the last one was a 4-minute situation for us, so it was kind of a unique deal.
When you look at that second half, you know, everybody says, oh, you scored 21 points off the bat, that's great. Then there's, you know, fewer points in the second half. The limited possessions are obviously part of that, but what else, went into that when you did your self-scout after the game?
Yeah, the first drive, we've been better, I would say, last probably 5 or 6 games to start the second half with our first drive. A lot of them have resulted in points for us, and so we end up getting the field goal. The next 2 drives, I think we had a 4-and-out and a 3-and-out, and really the run game wasn't quite as effective as it was early in the game. That was part of it, and the other thing is we had some third manageables that just were a little bit off. I think talking with Jared, we just went over it again because today's our third down day. We're recapping last week's third downs and 3 of 9, but we had several opportunities to be better than that. We liked the plays that we had, and just one little thing happened to be off, and so we got kind of thrown off course. And so limited possessions, that kind of happens like that, and we don't score as many points in the second half as we like.
You have another good defense this week that you face. Obviously played it before. That first game, I think you had your season low. No Gibbs and David got hurt. How much was due to that production was due to facing a really good D? How much was personnel related? And regardless, how do you make sure that you have a better rushing attack, I guess?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. I don't think it's any secret that Coach Bowles and that staff, they take a lot of pride in stopping the run. That's something they've done there really since they got there in Tampa, going back years. They've been top 10, top 5, even the top team in the league in terms of stopping the run. So they take a lot of pride in it. They load the box up. They really condense you on in there, and so it's hard. It's tough sledding, and we did not rise to the challenge well enough as a whole unit. So whoever we had up last time, we fell short of our standard, and the good news about where we are as an offense is we can shift and we can flow, and that doesn't shut us down entirely. If we can't run the ball, then we have other ways to attack the defense as well. So fortunately, that was the case the first time we played them. We are still built on the run, though. I think our guys up front, they relish the opportunity to do that, and we've got really good backs that we need to get the ball. So hopefully we can have a little more success than the first go-around.
Just to go back to the third down stuff, their defense was 9 for 9 against the Eagles the other night. Just what did you see from them? And then how much emphasis are you putting on those high leverage spots, third down, red zone this time of year?
Yeah, truthfully, the things that won us the game the first time we played them was we had 0 turnovers, and we were good on third down the first time we played them. Not only, I think we were 9 of 16, but we had several explosives. We scored some touchdowns on third down. And so that was kind of our recipe, particularly with not being able to run the ball. So when you watch them in that Philly game, well, Philly couldn't run the ball and Philly couldn't convert third downs. And so they really struggled. Philly got a unique game plan from these guys, something that we really hadn't seen all year. And so I'm sure they'll have something a little bit different for us as well that we'll have to be able to decipher and try to counter. But like I said, it kind of all goes hand in hand. We'd love to run the ball better than the first time we played them, and we still need to be efficient on third down.
Kansas was really effective in that last game, and then as well as against the Eagles. So I guess what does it just say about him that as a rookie he's able to have 2 of his best games against 2 really good offensive players?
It's like all these young guys. It's the more reps they get over the course of the season, they just keep hitting their stride. And so he's a young player that has just been ascending all year long. We knew about him the first time we played him, and he had some impactful plays on our game. And you just see them flash more and more as the season's gone.
With all the versatility in that front 7 and the blitzing and the way that they line guys up, how complicated is that to prepare for, and how does it compare to any other teams that you've faced?
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's been a challenge. Really our secret weapon is Frank Ragnow. We put a lot on his plate, both run game and pass game. So he does a great job getting fronts identified for the rest of the offensive line, and in the protection game with the running backs and the tight ends. So he really is a key cog in what we do, and I can't say enough good things about him. Experienced player that's seen a lot of football, and even when we get unscouted looks, he can find a solution for us more times than not.
How did what you got out of Sam in that game compare to maybe what you thought you would get a week ago today?
I don't know how many snaps did he get? Do you know? Yeah. So that almost might be 45 more snaps than I thought this time last week we would get. So yeah, I tell you, man, the kid just continues to impress. It's one way or another. It's what he does on the field. And listen, I know he only had the 3 catches for limited amount of yards, but the touchdown speaks for itself. The 3rd and 21, that he did everything he needed to do just to get us a little bit closer to kick the field goal. And then what he does in the run game goes unappreciated by most. So the guy, I mean, it's incredible for a rookie. It really is.
When you first started, sorry, I'm going back a little bit, but when you first started working with Goff, what was sort of your approach in figuring out his preferences, his strengths, what works best for him, and then, where do you think he's grown the most in that time?
He had a really solid foundation from his time in LA. He had played for McVay for a long time, and then I think he had one different coordinator his rookie year before McVay got there. And so his overall football was a little bit shaped by those influences. And so coming here, he's been open to any and all ideas. He's done a great job being responsive to some different things that he didn't quite know was possible. And so we sat down, we talked about things that he loved, that he did best, and we tried to implement those things into our offense. That really as a starting point 2 years ago when Coach named me coordinator.
Where do you think he's taken the biggest strides in these 2 years?
I always think his situational football and his knowledge of the protection has really taken the next jump. He's been excellent at throwing the football. That hasn't changed. That's been from day one since he got in the league. He's been an excellent play-action movement quarterback. I think his drop-back game, both from a protection standpoint where he can identify pressures and slide the protection into them, and then his understanding of the situation. He's grown immensely from Coach Campbell's installation of how we like to learn our game management stuff, and now he's at a spot here, year 3, where he can handle almost anything.
Put that college major to the test, because I could not figure out the math of this week. Just the work that goes into preparing for an opponent. We know the hours that you put in already. the interviews are part of this week, at the end of the week. How do you find the time to just do it all?
Well, the truth is, it gets taken away from somewhere, and so it gets taken away from my family a little bit, and so it's not the easy thing to say, but normally Fridays, get home, I can pick my daughter up from school, and we're wrestling downstairs and doing whatnot, and we'll have to skip that this week.
Obviously, we know the dance card was filled up with lots of requests. How have you prioritized which ones you'll take and which ones you?
I've left that to other people. I know it's still a very fluid situation, and truth be told, we'll find out more once the game plan's done. That's been told to everybody I've been around. Nothing's more important than the game plan. So I'm slow. I think the staff will get a chuckle out of that one. So the game plan is never really done until probably Saturday night, and so we'll get probably 90%, 95% of it in by tomorrow afternoon, and then early Saturday, and then Saturday afternoon. I'm usually still working on that thing.
Just got one last question on that. Just because a lot of people have mentioned you as a front runner for the Washington job, what's your relationship with their new GM there?
I know him just very briefly. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about people that have worked with him directly or have met him over the course of scouting on the road. So look forward to meeting them and talking more.
Close one more in football then. Vita.
Yeah.
When you have a guy like that in the middle, it's not like Micah Parsons where he's moving all over the place. Do you almost have to avoid him? How do you go about when a guy is that dominant, and taking things away? What's the mindset of an offensive coordinator?
Being very selective. Yeah, I think you're right. I think everything you said spot on. We know where he is majority of the time, and so we'll be selective when he's in the game to not necessarily do a couple things. I'll leave it at that for right now, but it's good. Yeah, thank you guys.